So many of you ask me all the time, Tara, all right, you're telling me about the economy, but what do I do? It's a difficult question because we have not seen inflation rates like this since the 1970s. Remember what I told you. We changed the formula that we use to calculate inflation rates. We do not use the same one as we did in the 70s. If we did, and this is why I send you to shadowstats.com all the time, if we did, we'd be at 17 to 20% inflation. Unprecedented in our lifetimes. So how does this end? It's a difficult question because we don't have anything to look to. We don't have anything to point to. So I thought I would have Kevin DeMeritt on. He is the head and founder of Lear Capital. Good morning, Kevin. And just to help me answer, good morning, help me answer this question for so many people. And a lot of people say, well, should I get gold? Should I get precious metals? Should I just put it all under my, my mattress? What do I do?
Well, you have to diversify, but we have to look at things that are going to help out with this inflation because it is not going away. The definition of inflation is too much money chasing too few goods. We printed up $22 trillion, and it's going to be with us for a little while. So you have to get defensive with inflation hedges as quickly as possible.
So what is a hedge?
A hedge means if you're raising interest rates and other assets are volatile, you want a hedge or something that performs opposite of what is happening in the stock market. So we've seen the stock market down almost 20%. Again, you want something to offset that. Gold and silver, you could have, with increased interest rates, maybe a CD ladder where you're buying 3 months, 6 months, 9 month CDs, and then as interest rates go up, your CD rolls over at those higher rates. All of those would be nice strategies to have in this kind of environment.
So we're talking about a hedge here, Kevin. I'll tell you what worries me, and I just love to see where you think this is going. A lot of people talk about Paul Volcker in the 70s and how he jacked interest rates through the roof, saved the country. When we were literally seeing lower interest rates than right now if we use the same formula. And he did. He caused a lot of pain, but it was over quick, and we were able to go into the 80s and have a good time, have a big economic party. But the problem here is that Congress, Kevin DeMeritt, has no intentions of stopping, the printing. I mean, they just passed the $1 trillion bill a couple of weeks ago. We're going to have to print to pay for that. They haven't started yet at the Federal Reserve, but we're going to have to. So we got, on the one hand, Powell, jacking rates through the roof. And on the other hand, we've got Congress printing or passing bills that require printing that are going to force the Federal Reserve to keep printing, the very thing causing the inflation. So it's like injecting chemotherapy into one arm to save the patient and injecting fresh new cancer cells into the other arm simultaneously. How does this end? What do you think?
Well, I think it ends where they give up on inflation and save the economy. Janet Yellen said there's no reason to worry about the national debt because interest rates were so low. She said that along with Jerome Powell when they also said inflation was transitory and nothing to be concerned about. Well, at the time they said that, the one-year T-bill was around 25% or a quarter of a percent. Now it's 4%. You've got a 16-fold increase in the cost of funding or $31 trillion in debt. So it's going to become a very big problem, and one because the Fed is going to have to chicken out on the fight against inflation because if they don't and they raise interest rates, you can't fund or can't service $31 trillion worth of debt with interest rates at 7%. We'd go broke doing it.
So, Kevin DeMeritt, what does this mean for a person with a 401k going, I'd just like to retire?
Well, you have to protect it, right? You can't live with 7 or 8% inflation because in 10 years at 8% inflation, the value of your money, the purchasing power of your money has fallen in half. And that happens each and every year. So, at 8% inflation next year, you have 92% of the value that you had this year. So what can we do? Well, gold and silver have proven to be some of the best inflation fighters out there. Through the 70s, like you were bringing up, when we had inflation in 1978 at the same rate that we had now, inflation went on to double, but the price of gold and silver went up 300% and 500% respectively.
Wow.
That's what you need to fight inflation. You need something to offset those losses that inflation is causing on the purchasing power of your dollar or your 401k or your IRA. So you need that hedge.
This is very interesting to me because I didn't know this. And you had told me about this. Tell me about if you would put $100,000 in the stock market in the S&P in 2008, which Kevin DeMeritt, you're big on telling people that you still need to be investing in the stock market, but you need a hedge too. Tell me what would have happened versus if you'd put 20% in gold.
Yeah, so you need diversification, but I think what people are surprised about is that the gold market, which barely anybody ever talks about, so thank you very much for having me on, has done extremely well since 2000. If you would have placed $100,000 in the stock market in the year 2000, it would be worth right around $320,000 today. If you would have placed $80,000 in the stock market and $20,000 in gold, it would be worth $385,000 today. You picked up an extra $65,000 in your bank account through diversification. Forget about inflation or volatility, anything like that. The gold market has actually outperformed the stock market. When the government's printing up this much money, you have a lot of money chasing a fixed good. So when you have increased money chasing a fixed product or a fixed good, what has to happen to price? Usually it goes up. That's why gold's a good inflation hedge, and that's why it's been outperforming some of the other investments out there.
And that, Kevin DeMeritt, that is exactly what my husband and I do. And we don't refer to it as an investment. We refer to it as a hedge. It's just to keep us safe. Now, here's the thing real quick with gold, because this has always bugged me. I like to physically have possession of the gold. Do I have to take physical possession of it? What do I do if I call Lear Capital?
Yeah, so you really have three options. You have the home delivery, what we call home delivery, and that's where we actually physically deliver the metals to you, and you can put it in your bank account, whatever you'd like to do with it to try to keep that safe. You have the option to place it into a depository. We have one of the nation's largest depositories that you will individually sign up for, so it's your account. You know exactly what's happening in there. We can't do anything with it, and you can store the metals there, and it costs about 0.3% a year, so it's fairly inexpensive even when you compare it to exchange-traded funds or something like that. And then lastly, we have the IRA 401k account. So if you have an old 401k or an IRA that's not performing for you, you want to diversify some of that, we can easily take whatever portion you'd like to take there and place that into gold also. You cannot hold that physically because it's an IRA and you're getting a tax write-off, so that's also held in a depository for you. But you can buy and sell it at any time.
Sounds great. Where can people go to get the gold or to talk to somebody about potentially purchasing precious metals?
You know, we set up a special URL just for you. It's Terra Lear, so TARALEAR.com. They can go there. That's the easiest place to go. They'll get our inflation report, the tax you didn't see coming. They'll get our gold investor's guide. And then we're also giving a special silver $50 away. It's a Kennedy or a Walking Liberty $50. When they used to make them in real silver, so it's a real silver coin, you can get all of that just by going to TerraLear.com or give us a phone call at 800-920-8388. The Terra Lear is really the best because we're here in California. It's 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the morning. So use
thank
the link
you for getting up.
And yeah, absolutely. We'll get everything out to everybody absolutely free of charge, no obligation.
And yeah, that coin really is beautiful. I actually have mine right here. But it's my name is TARALEAR.com. Kevin DeMeritt, thank you so much for joining us this morning on 106.3 WORD.